It. The fuck? Minus one? Okay. Wait. Why am I not live? Huh. Okay, never mind. I am live, I just was looking at the wrong thing. Okay. You know what? I accidentally premiered the video on the wrong day. Still got it wrong, apparently. I don't care about your shit, YouTube. Well, at least we got something for this. At least I can make like a video for December 2nd later on. Okay. What is beautiful? I'm not gonna watch the premiere because it's just like for the sake of me just having the video be uploaded at that time, and that way people could just chat among themselves. I don't really care. So, anyways, welcome back to another stream. I gotta check this stream first. Video be uploaded at that time, and that way people could just chat among themselves. I don't really care. So, anyways, welcome back to another stream. I gotta check this stream first. Oh, I'm at 200 subscribers. That's interesting. Anyways, today we're gonna be continuing our arc. Last time I think we ended here. Maybe let me quickly check. Oh my god, my other streams apparently couldn't record the audio. And I think there was a theory that the yeah, I think we did end up with that theory. So we're going to start with the end of. No, wait, not this one. Don't trust Gregory. Move on to. I guess all the way towards this theory because I'm planning doing the entire timeline into like one stream, and everything after that could be like streams I could do. So that upcoming stream, well, I will skip this one because no one cares for this one, to be honest. I technically already seen someone react to it. It was basically just Mappa talking about the state of FNaF Rising. It's not really important to the discussion. Oh, we can also skip this because this isn't really anything about the lore of the movie universe, which I might as well cover or watch because Mappa covered the book lore as much as the books suck ass. So let's begin. Yes. Hmm. Okay, I think the proof might be interesting. Now let's. Oh, navigation.
Let me show you something.
Let me show you something, it's a good life, it's a good vibe, it's a good time, yeah, we live it up. Let me show you something, yeah, we hanging out the window and we throw a little shocker with the pinky in the thumb. Like, let me show you something looking cute as a button, yeah, I got.
Oops.
After years of waiting, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach has finally launched, and with it, we now have a whole load of mysteries to discuss. What's the deal with the Vanny therapy tapes? Why is this room from Sister location in the Pizzaplex? Who is the best animatronic, and why is it Music Man?
Well, I can answer all of those, a lot of those. You know what? Don't worry about it. I'm not even gonna humor it with a joke. I'm just going to jump right into it.
There are a lot of things to solve in this massive game as lore hides behind every pirate poster and inside every arcade cabinet. But the theory I have today goes to the heart of this game, addressing the one character that we spend a lot of time with but don't actually see all that much. And that's our main character of Security Breach, Gregory. Yep, in a franchise full of dead kids, I want to focus on the first ever living child we've seen in the main story of the games. Except for in the Fruity Maze minigame, but we all know that she ends up dead. Who is Gregory?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much accurate.
What is Gregory? And why is he such a cold-hearted savage to Roxy and the rest of the animatronic gang?
Why specify Roxy? Why call out Roxy specifically and the animatronic gang? It's not like Roxy's like the second leader. Like I get, like I know Ruin. Okay, I'm not even. Okay, keep in mind this was released way before Ruin DLC came out. So like, why don't you say he's cold hearted to? I don't know the other animatronics. I don't know. Can I see the full screen? Thank you.
Mad that you're driving without my permission.
Nice
Oh
hit.
my gosh! Gregory is brutal.
Well, bitch's fault for not for just standing there. Like, what do you think was gonna happen? Like, why we jump down, Roxy?
Friends, the answers to those questions will recontextualize everything that you thought you knew about this series. So let's begin.
Yay, the bad opening.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that can't help but stuff its face with FNaF lore like Chica stuffs her face with pizza. And
Or animatronics stuff frontal lobes in their mouths.
garbage. I guess at this point it kind of applies to us too. Anyway, if you want to stuff your YouTube feed with FNAF videos, then hit that subscribe button right now, because today starts what I expect to be a 3-part series into the many unsolved mysteries of Security Breach. I mean, on the surface, the game
Meanwhile, I had to watch a lot up until the video before the Ultimate Timeline, or maybe a few videos beforehand.
seems pretty self-explanatory, right? Survive being trapped in a mall for one night. Looks like the new team forgot to read the title of the franchise. But that's
Yeah.
nothing. That's easy. Once you start looking into secret rooms, secret tapes...
To be fair, even then, the previous games, you don't really stay for 5 nights. You stay for like 6, 7, 8, or extra nights. So, maybe the game's title is a lie, like the cake is.
secret endings, secret minigames, and actually bother to read all the emails and item descriptions, you learn that there is a lot more here. Stuff that looks both backwards at the series that came before and forwards into what is coming next. Stuff that, quite frankly, I'm still working on piecing together. This is a big game with lots of places to hide things. But today, I want to focus on a mystery that I do feel like I have a pretty solid handle on. The relationship between Gregory and Glamrock Freddy. What's the deal with this random kid, and why is a killer animatronic suddenly trying to help him? Like, seriously, the game kicks off with this incredible cutscene. Everyone is living their best 80s-tastic lives on stage before Freddy suddenly glitches out and smash cut to Gregory just being there, I guess. It is one of the weirdest, most jarring intros to a game ever. And then from that point forward, we're just expected to assume that everything is perfectly normal, no explanations necessary. So I'm here to give you that explanation, because I strongly suspect that this boy is not a boy, and this robot is not a robot, and that the story of their relationship is one that's trying to make amends for one of the earliest and
They're... Is he saying there's Sammy, Emily, and... hold on. Jake? I'm sorry, I made a video about the books and how much I hate it. Don't worry about it. You guys probably don't care. Just... we know where this is going. We see like this scene. If you guys don't know this scene, that means you avoided FNaF somehow.
most pivotal points from this entire franchise. To begin, let's establish what we do know about Gregory in order to piece together the rest.
He's a character in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, introduced in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. He's a boy who is probably homeless, is being targeted by a furry killer. There.
So what does the game offer us in terms of his backstory? Nothing. First and foremost, we know that he's pretty much off the radar. At the start of the game, Freddy does a quick scan only to realize
your guest profile is unknown to me.
Similarly, when security guard Vanessa is chatting it up with Freddy, we hear this part of their conversation.
That is great news. He can be returned to his parents.
He can't. Turns out, there's no record of him.
Clearly, Gregory is not a guest at the Pizzaplex. It also seems like he has nowhere else to go. In the game's bad ending, unlocked by just leaving the building at 6 a.m., we see Gregory winding up in an alleyway sleeping in a cardboard box. He appears to be homeless. He's an orphan. This then explains a few other things that we see around the Pizzaplex. In a couple of hidden locations around the building, we find little dens that are filled with drawings, plushies, and beds. The most notable one being the one behind the daycare center. Gregory seems to be living inside the Pizzaplex, which would explain his lack of a guest pass. We can't even be sure that his name is Gregory. In the game's opening scene, Gregory has no issues speaking to Freddy.
Will you shut up?
Who said that?
I did.
However, once Freddy asks him for his name, he stutters.
I'm Gregory.
Why would he stutter on his name when he was clearly fine answering everything else just seconds before? So, what? Is that it? Gregory's just some homeless kid that sets up shop in the Pizzaplex and happens to get wrapped up in Afton and Vanny's plans? Yeah, right. Of course not.
Debatably Afton's plans, and to be honest, I think I preferred it be over... You know who? Over... Hold on, I'm going to finish this joke. I'm going to finish this joke. I will finish this joke, guys. Don't worry. Over. I will finish the joke. Over. Over this piece of shit. Over this thing. Yeah, I said it. Okay, let's continue.
Nothing in this franchise is ever an accident. Take a look at Gregory here. Notice any
The paycheck dates in FNaF 2 is probably an accident, given that they were used from FNaF 1 for some reason. FNaF 2 was rushed, so a lot of stuff don't work. I'm pretty think it's safe to say that at this point this franchise has some fucking accidents. Mapat. I'm confident to say that.
anything familiar? Dark eyes, brown hair with a piece falling between his eyes, shorts, a shirt with 2 stripes across the middle.
It's Frisk! It's Frisk! It's Kara! It's a child! I know what this is going. I've seen this video. I've seen this video before. And it's more even, and somehow it's even more dumber than Mike Victim. Actually, I think Mike Victim is actually, I don't think this is even more dumber or less dumber than Mike Victim.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gregory is none other than the crying child. Don't believe me? Early on, we get this weird moment when Freddy suddenly stops what he's doing and says this.
I feel you are broken.
We all know that the language in this franchise is never chosen by accident. Everything is meticulously crafted, so is it a coincidence then that the word broken is only—
I don't know, given the existence of the fucking mimic, I am starting to think that there are accidents. So, fun.
only used one other time in the FNAF series to describe a child? That iconic FNAF 4 clip with Crying Child and Golden Fredbear, "You're broken, we're still your friends. I will put you back together." The fact that both Crying Child and Gregory look alike and are considered to be broken screams of a connection existing between these two. Him being the Crying Child would also explain why he has nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
His dad is an undead zombie living inside a yellow bunny suit, and his mom is MIA. There's also lines like this.
Your parents want you to follow me. Your family is looking for you. Let me take you to your parents.
On one hand, this just sounds like
Oh,
Chica
you can
spelled out
take me
some
to
generic
you.
security protocol. On the other hand, if indeed Gregory is the crying child, Chica's lines here take on a whole new meaning, because she is quite literally bringing him to his family, his father living in the basement, William Afton. But obviously there's one big problem with this, one that I'm sure all of you are screaming at your monitors or typing aggressively down in the comments. Crying child is dead.
Yes.
He died in FNAF 4 when his older brother Michael picked him up to be chomped. And not only did he die, his soul then went on to be one of the 2 spirits possessing Golden Freddy, the other being the vengeful spirit Cassidy, before he was finally put to rest by the puppet in the happiest day ending of FNAF 3. This kid is well and truly gone. He is removed from the franchise. He is one of the few cards that are officially off the lore.
But it saves 7. But you know who Purple Guy is? He's William Afton. Why is okay? By the way, 7. I get it. It's not really 100% confirmed. It is indeed Jeremy Fitzgerald, but yeah, I believe the headcanon. The fact this map just decides to like, I don't know, not bad. Like, he's like, Like, why do we need to bring the crying child back? Why not just have the crying child be free, okay? And I know what he's about to say.
Table. So why then do I dare invoke his name here? Because Gregory is a robot, a rebuilt version of the crying child. Flame shields activate because it's time for everyone's favorite segment. MatPat uses the lore from multiple FNaF books to try and explain parts of the game that don't make sense. I'll try to make this as quick and painless for all of us as possible.
Yeah.
In the books, children having tragic premature deaths and then being rebuilt as robots by their grieving fathers is something that happens a lot.
I mean, it happens in the books, but that's because the books are poorly made. And I think it's to me that more than the mimic's existence. Which is funny because I like Sears.
Like, if I had a nickel for every time this plot line showed up, I'd have like 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times. In the original novel trilogy, the whole big twist of that was that Charlie, daughter of Henry Emily, died as a kid, and that her father put her back together.
I feel like I should mention that that William doesn't even know how to make robot kids. Remember, he stole a Charlie one and made that into Baby. I know that because I own the 4th closet book. Where is it? It's currently in the trash can. That's where it is.
By building robotic versions of her, each one representing a different stage of her growing up development. Then again, in Fazbear Frights, we have the character of Eleanor, who is strongly implied to have been built as a replacement daughter, as well as Dr. Talbert, who developed Remnant as a way to preserve his sick and dying daughter. And all of this is without me even going into the numerous stories where children get swapped out for robots and or Fazgoo.
I mean, yeah, but that's just either stories of Fazgoo or stolen identities. They're not really being directly rebuilt as robot kids like the novel trilogy logic.
Which, once it has your DNA, basically creates a clone of you. If that's the future of the franchise, we're going down some weird paths, my friends. Anyway, to summarize, there's evidence in the wider canon that FNAF 4's lines about the crying child being broken and needing to be put back together were meant to be much more literal than any of us first suspected. But we don't even have to go that far. Within Security Breach itself, there is...
This theory is literally just a revamped version of MikeBot, where the theory is the fact that Michael Afton is a robot of crying child. Yep, that was a theory a long time ago. And you know what? Now I'm thinking of it. Yeah, Mike Victim is way more worse because apparently because there's also apparently some people say that Mike Victim means that Michael Afton is a crying child, but he's not a robot, which is I mentioned this before, somehow even more dumber than Michael being a robot rebuilt as the crying child. At the very least, that would explain how he came back, because the idea is saying that, like, people say that, oh, like, okay, in a server I am in Discord, someone suggested that, oh, well, you know, that the flatline in FNAF 4 is fake, and I'm like thinking this is a even more worse twist than I don't know, Hans being like the villain of Frozen. I will argue that idea being the worst twist ever. That I will argue that, like, for real. What is more likely? The crying child is definitely a robot. And hear me out, he's a completely separate character.
Plenty of evidence to suggest that Gregory isn't exactly what he seems. When Vanny spots you and starts to get closer, your vision gets a CRT effect, basically the horizontal lines that old TV monitors used to get. And it's worth remembering that since this is a first-person game, that is representing your vision. So why are your eyes suddenly behaving like cameras on the fritz? Unless, you know, they are cameras on the fritz. Later.
Or, and hear me out, it's like that because, I don't know, It's because it's meant to showcase that we're being chased, and it's just a gameplay effect that has nothing to do with the actual game. That isn't really being shown, and it showed that threat is nearby, like the freaking Moon Man, Moondrop.
In the game, once we defeat Roxanne Wolf, we can take out her eyes and upgrade Freddy. Our Fazwatch tells us that, quote, Roxy sees things differently than others. Sometimes she'll stare and talk to the other bots through walls. She's able to see things that others can't, which allows us to see collectibles like secret CDs. In a way, she has a sort of X-ray vision, which is why when you first install him into Freddy, his comment really stands out.
How are your new eyes?
I am having a hard time adjusting. You look different to me.
Or and and hear me on this. He looks different because he's a fucking human being and he has like fucking organs and bones and fucking nervous system. You know, that will look way more different than the outer look. Like that's what something like a logical person will probably come to. Like, you know, probably the most likely answer. This is look, a crying child was not like, you know, okay, if it was ever confirmed crying child isn't like gotten his soul free in happiest day or something along those lines. This theory might have a chance, but I don't know. Even if just arguing just a robotic version without the soul of crying child and having his own soul. Again, William Afton can't do it because if we're using logic from the books, then William Afton doesn't even know how to make fucking robot kids. And once again, the fucking books. Heck, there's a reason why often mock exists in the right line in, well, practically any theory suggesting that the book continuity is the same as any book continuity is the same as the game continuity. It's stupid.
It's almost like he was seeing Gregory as a normal child, but now that he has these new eyes, he's able to see through Gregory's skin and reveal something that he wasn't expecting, like, say, an animatronic endoskeleton. Also, Gregory can be inside Freddy when he's inside the charging stations, which on its own feels weird. Like, I kinda expected you to hop out and leave him to charge, but nope, we pilot him inside of it and then sit there as he charges. Or could it be that those charging stations are as much for us as they are for him? Remember that secret?
Or, and hear me out, Sakari Breach is a game that was super unreleased and had like bugs and glitches, and maybe that's why some of the weird decisions they have came to be. Just saying.
Den behind the daycare where we assumed Gregory's living, there's a strange amount of decommissioned and what appear to be salvaged security robots. Maybe for a kid who needs a robotic upgrade. The fact that there's no record of Gregory would also make sense. If he's an animatronic, there wouldn't be records of him because he's not technically a human.
Okay, that part I can kind of see. Like, that's probably like the only good point some would argue, but I don't know. Some people probably don't even have records because they're either homeless or something like that. Yeah, but I don't know. You know what? I will say this: the logic isn't as dumb as Phone Guy's Purple Guy. Okay, scratch that. It's just as dumb.
It would also explain why Gregory has no parents. But maybe the biggest point of evidence comes from the very beginning of the game, where during the opening cutscene we see Freddy glitch out. This sets him on a course of being good for the rest of the game. But what causes that glitch to happen in the first place? Well, by going frame by frame, we can see that there's a security threat on the loose, and it looks to be a small child. What? It's Gregory. It has to be. Gregory is the threat here.
Okay. Or he's programmed to capture kids because he's being controlled by fucking Vanessa plus Fanny.
A robot that poses a threat to Freddy's programming. But why? How? What would make sense about that? Well, to understand that connection, it's time to put a pin in Gregory and turn our attention over to Freddy. If you unlock the game's final secret ending, you end up going below the Pizzaplex, only to discover a former Freddy Fazbear location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. If that name doesn't mean anything to you, it shouldn't really. Most of the restaurants in the series go unnamed. But while the name might not mean anything, the layout should be a familiar one. One large rectangular stage with lights on the trim and big speakers on either side, and a smaller semicircle stage right next to it. It's from FNaF 6, Pizzeria Simulator. Notice the stools that are placed right in front, the checkered floor. We even have purple striped tablecloths and blue, green, and red plates, exactly like we saw in Pizzeria Simulator. As a refresher, this is the location that Henry lured all of the roaming animatronics to in order to burn them to the ground one final time.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, little friend.
And this is it, here. Seems like Henry's plan didn't quite work as expected. We still see pretty much everyone that he tried to torch away, and they're all alive and well and thriving underground. Springtrap is there, Molten Freddy is there as this big black blob, and if you look inside that blob, you can even see Baby. And heck, even the puppet. Kinda lessens the impact of that Savage Henry speech from FNaF 6, but whatever. Anyway, the reason I bring this up, outside of it giving me a chance to remind everyone that I totally called something like this happening at the end of the last theory from a year ago, is that one character is notably absent here. Michael Afton, who we're reasonably sure was the guard working at the FNaF 6 location and the one who helped to burn it down.
And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want.
Okay, so let me discuss the rationale of Michael Afton possibly being back. Is it possible for him to be back? Theoretically, he could. I mean, he did mention there was a way out, and well, you can argue probably took that way out. Honestly, I think Scott left that part in the options he wanted to use, bring back Michael Afton or Steelwo, which, yeah, fair point. Now, whenever he died or not is the topic for another day. And you might be wondering, well, what was the line not intended for you? I think we can confidently say that Henry just didn't really care who was doing it, and he was just hoping for a random schmuck, which is fair.
I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be.
After being scooped, turning purple, and trying to undo his family's sins location by location, he went down with the ship and burned alongside his father and sister. Which means that presumably he should be here somewhere, and yet he's not. Unless, of course, he's taken on a new form, say perhaps Glamrock Freddy. We know for a fact that Freddy's been down here based on some of the lines that he drops during the finale.
I know what this is. I have been here before. She brought me here. I had no choice. Now I have a choice. I have changed. My friends are here. They are so angry, confused, but I can protect you.
So he's in a place.
They're stuck in a FNaF game that wasn't finished, and were eventually not important for the fucking Ruin DLC.
Where he can get possessed. We also hear that Freddy isn't acting like his normal self, saying,
I am not me.
And in yet another ending, the fire ending, Freddy is more than prepared to set the place ablaze, much like Michael Afton did to Fazbear Frights at the end of FNaF 3. I guess old habits die hard. And nothing says that clearer than the replica of Mike's room from Sister Location that's hiding inside the Pizzaplex. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, hidden inside the mall is the exact replica of Mike's living room from Sister Location, down to the TV, lamp, and basket of exotic butters.
Exotic
But here's the kicker. Over on Mike's wall is a coded message, one that was solved through an incredible team effort from Dawko and the rest.
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
I don't care.
Rest of the FNaF subreddit. It reads as follows, quote, break and mend, I built the breath. They hunt now, drawn to life. Not real, still me. And frit and fraught with thought and zest, and guessed no blunt woes. Dodge, duck, flash, shoot, crawl, run, crush the vile band. Cry not, try not, do not hold out hope. Your life, your aim will save those with soul. I feel like this is some sort of a poetry reading. Snaps, everyone. Snaps. Snaps. Yeah,
Ew.
cue the bongos. Alright, basically this is just a bunch of fancy talk all relating to Mike's personal journey. The first line is all about breaking and repairing things, and in doing that, creating new life. In other words, Ennard and Baby. The rest is all about
Yeah.
his commitment to try and stop the evil animatronics and try to save any of them with a soul left in their bodies. Now, does the
I like
presence of
the
this room
idea.
and poem necessarily mean that Mike is Freddy? No, but I do think it's telling that we're reminded of Mike's commitment to save everyone inside of a room that you're required to find alone in the dark, i.e.
Yeah.
without Glamrock Freddy hovering over your shoulders. Heck, during the finale, we even get this line from Glamrock Freddy.
My friends are here. They're so angry, confused.
He's talking about Molten Freddy, the spirits trapped inside of the blob. It's very possible that those were indeed his friends captured and killed back in the day. Maybe William himself struck back against the kids that had bullied his youngest son, and now some of their spirits are trapped below the surface as part of the blob in this abandoned.
So, he's saying that Gabriel, Jeremy, and Fritz is the Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica bully. A fun idea, I suppose, but Susie ends up in Chica, and well, that would mean that one of those guys that end up in animatronic they're not supposed to be in. So, yeah, I do not think the bullies are the MCI kids. Could they be the DCI kids? Potentially speaking, yeah, but at the same time, we don't know. They could have moved away from Utah for all we know and went to, I don't know, Nebraska or Colorado or something like that. Hmm. This is seeing that Chica has like 2 souls, which. Alright. Dinosaur Dome actually. You know, I stand by that the bullies are like separate from the murdered kids William murdered. Unless you want to say there has been like 3 murders, 3 different Freddy locations.
abandoned restaurant. Or maybe that's why Gregory is so brutal to all of these animatronics at the end of each boss battle. They killed him back in 1983, and now it's his turn to show the bullies no mercy by launching a go-kart at their face and ripping out their eyeballs. And meanwhile, Freddy is sad because they are quite literally his friends from when they were alive. But to me, honestly, the biggest connection points between Mike and Glamrock Freddy are thematic. Their narrative. Mike has been moving to location after location to try and undo his father's horrible work. This would just be a continuation of that story, as both Aftons return post-fire. And more importantly, it also completes the arc of the crying child and his older brother. Since accidentally killing his brother in FNaF 4, Michael's been trying to make amends. This would be quite literally their grand reunion. An older brother finally able to protect and defend his younger sibling in a way that he failed to earlier in their lives. This is also why Freddy's programming would glitch out after he encounters Gregory in the opening cutscene. The soul of Mike, buried deep in Freddy's code, comes through upon sensing his brother again. It hotwires the system so that Michael Afton, in the body of Freddy, can defend his kid brother. And the Afton story doesn't stop there either. In part of the Pizzaplex, we find a family dinner scene made up of decommissioned staff robots. A father, a mother that kind of looks like Ballora, a daughter with rosy cheeks and orange pigtails, a son, and one with its head missing, the child whose head was bitten off in 1983. This is very clearly the Afton family. There is no doubt about that. The story continues in this game. In fact, I expect that's why the Save Vanny ending here is so important. If you manage to find and complete all the Princess Quest arcade cabinets hidden throughout the Pizzaplex, you get an ending where we are able to save Vanny from the control of Glitch Trap. This is something that we predicted would be possible literally a year ago in a theory, but I'd bring this up not to pat myself on the back, but rather to call out the final moment of this ending, where we see Gregory, Freddy, and Vanny all sitting together on a hill. A hill that I should point out is oddly reminiscent of the FNaF 6 gravestone hill. It feels meaningful, like all these characters have some sort of history. Why would Vanny be there otherwise? Unless this is meant to be the crying child, Michael, and maybe even Elizabeth, the Afton children. The three kids who literally had their lives stolen by the evil deeds of their father. Finally reunited, finally able to share a moment of peace on this hill. After all, Vanessa does have green eyes and blonde hair, just like someone else that we know.
I mean, hers looks a bit more yellowish in that picture, but I see what you mean.
From the series, but that's probably a theory that's best saved for another day. Long story short here, Gregory isn't just any kid. He's not just the crying child either. He's the rebuilt version of the crying child, an animatronic designed to fill the void left by the death of Afton's youngest son, literally put back together piece by piece. And Mike, meanwhile, is also back, glammed out this time.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, Gregory could easily be a robot made by someone else, but I don't know. I still think Gregory is definitely a human being.
Continuing to make amends for his past by reuniting with the brother that he accidentally killed as a kid and protecting him in a way that he never could before. Which then leaves us with a question: who's Vanny? How does she fit into all this? Why does she fit into all this? And why does Robot Gregory glitch out each and every time she gets close? That, my theorists, will have to wait for the next episode, because this episode's running long and honestly I need more time to think through the answers. So in the meantime, theorists, remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss how all these clues fit together. You're not going to want to miss that next episode, mostly because, you know, if you do, the FNaF lore will no longer make any sense to you whatsoever. Plus, hitting the subscribe button's free, and let's be honest, at this point, you owe it to yourself to see how it all plays out. But for now, remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching.
Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that eventually. This video, this will be after the timeline, which will be after the upcoming videos.
Cosmo, out of all the cocktails that have ever been mixed up in this city, you might be the most
Skip.
Gregory, do you see that bit of green spinach in your teeth? Have you ever heard of Fortnite, Gregory?
Oh, okay, so I'm gonna skip like the Greg could be a robot bit, mostly because I don't care for it, and it means I can like lessen the fucking time. Also because he's talking about like people being hypocrites, which I'm talking about like stuff like the cut content stuff. My stance on cut content, unless it's stated it could be used as evidence by the official creators, or at least some form canon. I don't think we should be using cut content. Like, for example, I don't think we should use cut content to prove that Rosalina is indeed the daughter of Peach, which is a theory that exists that was always stupid to me. Yeah, I said it. It's one of the dumbest theories ever. I don't know. Related theories have always been like a theory that I always find stupid unless they're compelling, and I feel the same way with Shadow being the father of Silver, basically. Yeah. In my opinion, it seemed like a cut content thing about Gregory as evidence. Yeah, okay, like, I agree. People are hypocrites with the cut content thing about Gregory being a robot. Or not. I still think this is a censored thing. I just don't think the evidence is convincing that he is indeed a robot, but evidence that could be convincing he's a fucking robot if it's the fact that he barely shows any emotions. That's like the only other way I can see it. But I don't think he's a robot still. I just think he's a human, and that the actress just didn't do the best job for him. No hating on whoever voiced him.
You need to floss. You need to floss, Gregory.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Oh, 4 pages.
They're coming straight in.
I don't care about Valorant.
Nothing.
Into this episode, let's actually stop to talk about Vanessa, shall we? Last episode I made a passing statement about how this final image felt to me like the 3 Afton children getting reunited. Crying child, Michael, and Elizabeth Afton, William's daughter that done got scooped by baby back in sister location. It's a scene that, to me, feels like the narrative finally giving them a sense of closure after they quite literally die as a result of their dad's evil deeds. Last time I briefly made mention of Vanessa's blonde hair and green eyes, which is the same as Elizabeth. And here, in this ending, we actually see 2 scenes of her wearing the signature Afton purple. Even the ice cream cone, as opposed to something like Greg Gregory's novelty pop is a potential callback to her death, where Baby delivered an ice cream cone to her before she did the scoop. And when you look at the connections between these two characters, it's more than just a couple of visual similarities. The biggest secret in Security Breach right now is a series of 16 retro CDs, invisible collectibles that only Freddy can see, hidden in every obscure corner of the game's map. Then, to play these things, you actually need to have also found the secret sister location room that we talked about last time. Now, these CDs are, they're problematic. They open up a whole separate can of worms. They're recordings of therapy sessions following two separate individuals, Patient 46 and Patient 71. The exact identity of Patient 46 is a theory for next time that will absolutely launch us into yet another flame war, but early in Patient 71's tapes, we learned that it's actually Vanessa speaking.
Hello, Vanessa. How are you feeling today?
These are recordings from therapy sessions that Vanessa had while she was at the job for the FNaF AR game's special delivery. She mentions speaking to a man named Lewis on several occasions, and we discover that she's also buying fake fur, both of which are things that we see in emails from FNaF AR. By the last of Vanessa's recordings, she's leaving that job for a new job somewhere else, most likely the job of security guard here in Security Breach.
I'm needed somewhere else now.
But let's dive into the good stuff, shall we? In Vanessa's second tape, we learn about a custody battle that happened between her parents. Her dad won using manipulative tactics, forcing his daughter to falsely testify.
Your dad made you follow instructions, didn't he? I'm talking about the custody battle between your mum and your dad. Your dad didn't play fair, did he? He used to make your mum look bad in court.
After losing custody of her daughter, Vanessa's mother, well, here's what the tape does.
I know your mum after she lost the custody case.
It glitches, implying that her mother ended her own life, which would explain why Mrs. Afton is missing from all the games, and why she may have wound.
How does Taco Bell not have a breakfast taco already?
I don't know. How am I getting ads like shortly after I skip a fucking ad?
You have all the ingredients. Fluffy eggs, melty cheese.
Don't care.
Wound up being rebuilt as the motherly Ballora in Sister Location, a robot that, wouldn't you know it, sings about her inescapable depression now that the walls of her house are empty.
All I see is an empty room, no more joy.
No one cares about you, Ballora.
We also hear Vanessa lines like this.
Oh, you like those? Apparently, the janitor on this floor has a garden and has been putting bouquets in the offices here for years.
Vanessa likes flowers. A small detail, but you know me, small details could often be the biggest evidence. Who else do we know in the series that has an affinity for flowers? Well, think back to FNaF 4. Remember this random empty bedroom with a huge portrait of a flower on the wall? It's Elizabeth's room before she got scooped. Then you have Vanessa lines like this.
And or her room that she wasn't there because apparently she was somewhere else. Maybe getting a gift. Maybe she was with her mom on the week. Maybe her mom decided to do a girls trip and they probably done it so they could go back. They could come back with a gift properly. I don't know. Girl time, I guess. Or this room was made before Elizabeth was introduced to the series, and Scott didn't really think things through.
Lots of people know more than I do. Sometimes I need to listen.
Now, this might be a stretch, but I believe it's referring to when Elizabeth got scooped by Baby. Her dad had repeatedly and explicitly warned her not to go near Baby, but she didn't listen. And in doing so, she ended up getting herself trapped inside the animatronic.
Don't tell Daddy that I'm here. I wanted to watch your show too. I don't know why he won't let me come see you. You're wonderful.
Vanessa also says in her tapes that she doesn't like dark basements.
I have a craft space in my basement. Maybe I could come up with something you could learn to do. I don't like dark basements.
It's another line that seems to be pointing us in the direction of Baby, who was trapped underground for years in Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals, looking for a way back to the surface.
I've been out before, but they always put me back. They always put us back inside. There's nowhere for us to hide here. There is nowhere to go.
And to put one final nail in this coffin, right back in the second CD, we actually learned the name of Vanessa's father.
I feel like I know your dad, too. Bill, right?
Bill is short for William. That's just the game trolling us with a coincidence, right? Wrong. You see, going back to FNaF AR, we learned that Vanessa's last name begins with an A. From there, we can connect the dots. Bill A, William Afton. But didn't Baby burn at the end of FNaF 6? Well, yeah, she did, but you see how effective that was.
How are you not dead? I mean, to be fair, the thought that burning him is going to work is stupid, because people have tried to burn him to death no less than 3 times in this franchise. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work!
But here's the kicker. At the end of the game, we meet the Blob, a weird tentacle monster made up of all the original members of the series. FNaF 1's Chica and Bonnie, FNaF 2's Mangle, Sister Location's Funtime Freddy, a random endoskeleton crawling out of the bottom, the puppet mask without tears, I might point out, and Baby's face. Now, don't get me started on this being Baby's original face and not Scrap Baby's updated look where she came back to FNaF 6 in. I have words about that. Anyway, look at them all here on screen. You notice anything strange? Most of the animatronics' eyes are lit up. Funtime Freddy, Chica, Mangle, skull, even this random endoskeleton at the bottom. But now take a look back at Baby's mask. The eyes are blacked out. So although the blob has absorbed Baby's body during the burning down of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, her spirit, the spirit of Elizabeth Afton, is no longer present. It is unaccounted for. It is on the loose, and as such, potentially at large within the game. Is she, in some way, Vanessa? And if so, how? The truth is, I don't know. This game has got my brain in so many knots I might as well be a sailboat. I don't think there's any evidence to support any conclusion at this point in time. But I do know that this is what the evidence is heavily pointing us towards. The design similarities, the missing spirit, the purple color, the ice cream, the voice lines, the personality traits, and again, the narrative theme of 3 Afton kids reuniting and moving on after a traumatic past. It gives everyone this nice full circle ending, even if it's only meant to be symbolic. And the screen really does feel like it's the end, finally, for these 3 characters. Maybe next time we'll finally see some new faces. So enough about them, we're moving past those 3. There's still other mysteries that we have to solve here. What happened to Glamrock Bonnie? Who is Patient 46 and why are they here? What's the deal with that room full of post-it notes? Yeah, you forgot about that one, didn't you? It's important. And did you happen to notice the other missing animatronic from this game? Because I certainly did, and I think they might be hiding in plain sight. So next time we get to cover some mysteries that don't require us talking about dead characters getting rebuilt into robots. Scratch that, we're talking about William Afton. That's kind of unavoidable at this point. Oh, this franchise is so ridiculous. Anyway, next time we're gonna sweep up a few other mysteries as we try to make more sense out of the game that quite literally threw everything against the wall to see what would stick. Speaking of things sticking on walls, why don't you spice up your decor with some 80s-tastic magnetic posters that stick on your walls with today's sponsor, Displate. Who needs a time-traveling bulb?
I would consider getting that, but nah. Hold on. Yeah? Okay, back to this program.
Tango wants to know, does your printer run out of ink at the worst time?
Cartridges. Tiny, dinky, expensive.
Don't get cartridged.
Thanks for coming in, Freddy. I heard you got some new eyes recently. Just want to check to make sure that they're all functioning before we send you back out there on the stage. Tell me, what do you see here?
That is my friend Bonnie. I miss him.
Don't we all? Don't we all? How about this one?
It's me?
Interesting response with heavy lore implications. Gonna make a note of that one. All right, how about this last one?
Oh, that's the DJ, you know. DJ... No, hold on, don't help me, I have this. DJ...
Come on, Freddy, it's obviously...
Music Man! Music Man! Oh! Music Man! Music Man! Music Man! I called it! Music Man! Man! Music Man! Man! Oh! I was so close! Music Man!
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where the only thing that slaps harder than our remixes is you slapping that subscribe button.
No.
A huge thank you to Doofix from the Game Theory subreddit for helping that meme achieve its true final form, and for letting me use it as a part of this video. As I write this, his masterpiece only has 400 views, so let's blow that channel up. Link's in the top line of the description, you know what to say. Fill up those comments, let me hear ya. Music Man! As the man said in the song,
Let's go! Let's go! Go! Go!
say what you will about Security Breach, and there's certainly a lot you can say about Security Breach. The fact that it launched this weird, unseen animatronic from Pizzeria Simulator into meme lord status is perhaps its greatest accomplishment. And speaking of other unseen animatronics, today's episode is actually a pair of mini-theories all about 2 animatronics that are notably absent from this newest game. Characters that have been with us since the very beginning of the franchise, but whose 80s shoulder pads apparently weren't big enough for the final cut. And in a game that throws so much Freddy spaghetti against a lore wall to see what sticks, what gets excluded from the game is almost as interesting as what made the final cut. So what are the mysteries surrounding these 2 animatronics? Can we we solve the mysteries, and what do the solutions tell us about the lore of this new game? That, my loyal theorists, is what we aim to answer today. Missing animatronic number 1, Glamrock Bonnie. We all thought it was strange when the trailers first dropped and we saw our favorite animatronics in their new 80s getup. Freddy, Chica, Foxy, kind of, and No, that's an alligator. Yep, Montgomery Gator was in, and Bonnie the Bunny was out. At first, I thought this was just gonna be a repeat of Sister Location. Introduce some new characters, reintroduce some old ones with new looks, and, you know, just leave a couple out. But then, right outside of the daycare of security breach, we hear this.
There is no rabbit at the Mega Pizzaplex. Not anymore.
And that right there, my friends, is theory bait. Stick it on a fish hook and drop it in the water to reel me in. Clearly, this was more than just an arbitrary swapping of characters. There's a story here, a mystery to solve. Glamrock Bonnie did exist at some point here in the Pizzaplex and now doesn't. And the game continues to remind us of this mystery as we explore the mall. While trying to decommission Chica, you have to venture into Bonnie Bowl. And while we're up there, Freddy says this.
I do not come up here anymore. I miss him.
We even get a collectible message from Roxy Raceway that talks about him. Quote, management report. The bowling alley needs a re-theme. While most of the Bonnie art was removed, kids keep asking, where's Bonnie? Do we have an officially approved response? So yeah, where is Bonnie? The kids want to know, and heck, I want to know what happened to everyone's favorite rabbit. Well, to answer that, we actually have to follow the other messages that we get in the Faz Watch. Specifically, this security alert found behind a locked Monty gate in the game's opening service tunnel. Quote, security report 12:24 a.m. Bonnie is seen leaving his green room in Rockstar Row heading east towards the atrium. 2:40 a.m. Bonnie enters the East Arcade. 4:12 a.m. Bonnie enters Monty Golf. Bonnie is wandering around the Pizzaplex and winds up in Monty Gator Golf. And see, this is an important detail because as we see in both the game and the collectible messages, Monty has a bit of a mean streak going on. He likes breaking things. He also has a bit of an ego. I don't know if you noticed, but the animatronics in this game are unusually human compared to the ones that we've seen previously. They have personality, emotions. We see Roxy crying in her room because we've managed to escape her.
We should have found him by now. It's not fair. I'm not a loser.
Chica is just hungry all the time, and Monty wants to be the star. He's looking for a way to rise to the role of leader of the band, singer in the spotlight. We know this thanks to hole number 9 of the Gator Golf minigame. Monty is center stage, and Freddy is left out in the dumpster. So when bass player Bonnie comes rolling into his domain late at night, Monty sees this as his opportunity to take him out and become the bass player himself. This is all fairly straightforward just from reading those collectible messages, but it does leave me wondering why. Why did Bonnie go to Monty Golf in the first place? Well, what if someone led Bonnie there so he would get destroyed? Monty would get what he wants, a more prominent role in the band, and Bonnie would be quietly decommissioned and turned to scrap. Scrap that could then be used to help rebuild another rabbit that we're all familiar with. One that's hiding out in the basement. Good old Burn Trap Afton. You want to know where Glamrock Bonnie is? Right there, right in front of your face. Burn Trap's body is Glamrock Bonnie's body. And I'm not just saying that because they're both rabbits, there's actually a couple more clues that pointed me in this direction. If we turn back to when we last saw Afton in the form of Scrap Trap during Pizzeria Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night, there were some interesting design details. Namely the fact that we can see a lot of bone underneath the suit. A lot of bone. Top of his skull, his jaw, around the eyes here, even the collarbone you can make out in his jump scare. But here in Security Breach, Afton has basically got a whole new body. As Scrap Trap, he was made primarily of bone and muscle, but now he's almost entirely animatronic, with the exception of the weird fleshy tendons that entangle the endoskeleton, as well as the skull, which now appears to be melted into the rabbit face. But we see loads of endoskeletons throughout Security Breach. We even hear Vanessa saying that they could just put old casings onto new endos if they need to.
Monty will run the shows until parts and service can slap your casing on a new endo.
So why then am I so sure that Burn Trap uses Bonnie's endo when they could have used any other endoskeleton? It all comes down to the hands. They make a big point in the trailers to reveal this mechanical hand with claws at the end of its fingers, and they put emphasis on it again during Afton's ending when his hand reaches outside the recharge station. On both occasions, the focus is on Afton's left hand, a hand that was completely missing from Scrap Trap in both FNaF 6 and Ultimate Custom Night. I mean, technically he was missing that entire left arm, but you get the point. So what does any of this have to do with Bonnie? That could be any endoskeleton arm, right? Wrong. Take a look at the Glamrock endoskeletons from this game. Their hands? Yep, they don't have claws. The only animatronic whose endoskeleton does have claws? Montgomery Gator. We actually get a really good look at his hands once we've decommissioned him. But hold on a minute, I was saying that Burn Trap was made from Bonnie, so why am I so focused on Monty? Well, we have to go back to the messages that we get on our Faz Watch. Down in parts and services, we get this maintenance log. Quote, Montgomery's claw upgrades allow him to play the bass. Following performances, he mostly uses them to cause damage. Before I read this message, Monty having claws didn't really strike me as an odd design detail. I mean, the dude's an alligator. Kinda makes sense. But this message made me reevaluate that opinion. Claws are only for animatronics that play the bass. When we get the message about Bonnie being out of commission, we get this line. Quote, with Bonnie out of commission, we are making Monty the new bass player. Parts and service have already done the proper adjustments. End quote. They're installing the claws on Monty because he's becoming the bass player, which means that Bonnie
Yeah.
before him must have also had claws. They need to be built into the endoskeleton because they have to pluck the heavier strings. Therefore, the claws on Afton's new body prove that they could have only come from a single source, Glamrock Bonnie. But Glamrock Bonnie isn't the only one conspicuously missing from the Security Breach lineup. Where is everyone's favorite yellow clickbait, Golden Freddy? At first, I didn't think too much about his absence. Last we saw old Yellow Fredbear, he was twitching away at the end of Ultimate Custom Night, keeping the spirit of Afton trapped in an endless purgatory of torment. Meanwhile, you got Old Man Consequences over here asking Cassidy, "You good, bro?" and encouraging them to leave the demon to his demons. So, yep, that story seemed largely done. Cassidy, aka the one you should not have killed, aka the vengeful spirit, call the kid whatever you want, this was another playing piece off the lore table, the end of another character arc. So why would Cassidy appear in Security Breach? Doesn't seem necessary. But then, it was more Freddy Spaghetti time. Security Breach once again threw everything it had at the wall to see what stuck. And I do mean everything they had. Basically, everyone and everything in the series up to this point is represented somewhere in this game. FNaF 1 animatronics, FNaF 2 animatronics, tons of references to FNaF 4, a direct connection back to FNaF 6, there's Baby, there's the puppet, there's the fun times. If my theories up to this point have been correct too, you also get Crying Child, Michael, and Elizabeth. The Aftons all in one neat little package. And that's still not all. The arcade cabinets reference everything from the original novel trilogy to the Fazbear Fright stories. Heck, in this one game you get not
Okay, so I solved the question now. Security Breach is non-canon. Yay, well, I don't have to continue the series anymore. Fine, I'll continue this fucking series. No, something to watch later.
only one, but two, count them, two versions of William Afton, Glitch Trap and Burn Trap. You have all the versions of pretty much all the important characters throughout the franchise. So in a title that seemingly references every other important corner of FNaF lore, where's our golden boy Freddy? Well, he's there. He's hiding in plain sight, right here, inside the Princess Quest arcade games. The princess is, quite literally, Golden Freddy. Or, to be entirely accurate, it's actually the spirit of Cassidy inside the arcade game. I know, it seems crazy, right? And while I could try to bury the lead here and
I like how Map is saying this is Cassie is the princess. Princess Quest. This implies if we were to bring back Crying Child spirit into this, he would be in the Balloon Boy minigame, and that idea is too funny for me. I don't think Cassie is the princess, but I kind of wish she is. They are at this point for that funny idea.
bring this whole thing out. I'm not. There's just too much to talk about. We know that this is Golden Freddy because it's coming straight out of the horse's mouth. I guess it's the sheep's mouth because it's Steel Wool Studios. Anyway, if you dive into the game files, there's a character sprite folder labeled Cassidy. Open it up and what do you find? The princess. Now, I gotta be honest, that alone didn't convince me. Sure, it is a huge deal, and obviously the golden color of the princess is a direct connection back to everyone's favorite yellow bear, but this is also a series that's used the name Jeremy in like, what, at least 4 separate places? Is that right? 4? He's a missing children's incident kid, he sliced his face off in FNaF VR with a paper cutter, he's a security guard from the FNaF 2 paychecks, and oh yeah, he's in the latest Fazbear Frights book. So yep, those are the 4 instances that I can just remember off the top of my head. So forgive me if I'm in need of a bit more proof here before I call this one confirmed. So I kept digging. First, it's worth noting that in a previous theory, I suspected that the princess was actually meant to be a stand-in for Vanessa. You see, Security Breach isn't the first time that we've actually seen the Princess Quest minigame. It originated as part of the mobile port for FNaF VR when they needed some way of telling Vanessa's story. Instead of finding 16 glitching cassette tapes like you did in the original FNaF VR, the mobile port has you playing Princess Quest 1, lighting 16 braziers to eventually find the lair of Glitch Trap. Interestingly though, digging through that game's files reveals that the princess character wasn't labeled as Cassidy. This is a new thing for Security Breach, which tells me that this was also an important story element for them. A story that, now that we have all 3 Princess Quest games to look at, suddenly takes on a different meaning. When you play Princess Quest 1, you're being hunted down by black and glitchy rabbit creatures. These things are clearly working for Glitch Trap, but if that's the case, why would he be sending them to attack you? If the princess is truly meant to be a stand-in for Vanessa finding the tapes, wouldn't he want Vanessa to find them so she comes under his control? Rabbits attacking doesn't make sense. However, if we consider the Golden Princess to instead be Cassidy, back from the dead once more to try and stop William for good, then of course, Billy Afton would do everything he can to stop the princess. I also think that each Princess Quest represents a different phase of Cassidy's experience quite nicely. In the first one, Cassidy is helpless, an innocent, helpless child lured to a back room and killed by a monster that looms in the shadows. But by Princess Quest 3, the princess is fighting back. And not just fighting back, but doing it in the same location that we walked through in FNaF VR. Notice the large central stage, the prize corner back behind us, and a rounded side stage to the left. Now, this is an important detail because as we see at the end of FNaF VR, we're playing in the location of the missing children's incident. Glitch Trap lures us to the back room only to shove our dead body into Freddy's suit while he dances around. This is Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where the initial 5 kids, including Cassidy, first went missing. Cassidy's story truly comes full circle. Playing through Princess Quest 3 the first time, I also thought it was unusual to have a giant Chica face looming in the background watching us. Like, why? Seriously, why? You don't just do that for decoration. And then I remembered this line from Ultimate Custom Night.
I was the first. I have seen everything.
You've seen
the first. I have seen
I'm not finishing
everything. This means that Susie, the spirit inside of Chica, saw the deaths of everyone else, meaning that she was probably watching as Cassidy was killed. Hence why she, of all the characters, would be the one watching us in this moment.
But
so the file name match.
But didn't she come back? Didn't she come to life thanks to the puppet? Also, I feel petty to point this out, but I know this is late, but they eventually renamed the Cassidy file to Princess, so yeah, they're no longer the same entity.
The color matches, the narrative arc makes sense as we revisit important locations from Cassidy's past, but that's not all. Elsewhere in the files, there's another piece of glitch text, similar to the text that we originally saw when you approached Glitch Trap in Princess Quest 1, but this time it's much shorter. It'd be hard to decipher if we hadn't just decoded Afton's text before, but we did. And using that code, we're able to translate these dots as "it's me," the iconic phrase that we've seen every time Golden Freddy has been present throughout the series. Last but not least, Cassidy being here just makes sense with the story. Whenever there's William, Cassidy is close behind, hence the whole vengeful part of Vengeful Spirit. This is something that we actually see in the Fazbear Frights books, specifically the story of the man in room 1280. In this story, we get a ruined, burned William Afton dying on a bed, haunted by an angry spirit named Andrew with curly black hair wearing an alligator mask. This very clearly is meant to be the book stand-in for Cassidy. In a previous story, Andrew outright says, quote, "I do remember wanting to get back at someone who hurt me. I think I attached myself to him. I got into his soul, made sure he couldn't move on when he should have died. I remember I wanted him to suffer, the way he made me suffer." Basically, the two are inseparable. Andrew grafted himself onto Afton, and now their souls are mixed. So consider this. Glitch Trap was created when a bunch of circuit boards were scanned into a system to create a video game.
They sent us that stuff in the first place with no explanation. It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that. Somehow, though, there was usable code on some of it.
If Cassidy was truly attached to Afton, then Cassidy's spirit would also likely be in those circuit boards, thereby creating a digital version of her, aka the Princess. So yeah, I feel pretty darn confident that that is indeed Cassidy in Princess Quest. Everything I could find backs it up from a design, timeline, narrative sense. Also, the file name suggests that the king is actually Old Man Consequences. Sure, I guess. Leave the demon to his demons. Unless, of course, you want to take my sword and go ham on him. Anyway, so what does it all mean? Why is this important at all? Well, it gives us a rationale for why playing some random arcade games somehow manages to free Vanessa from Glitch Trap's control.
Or the old man to reference Zelda. You know, for being a Nintendo fan, you failed us, MapHat.
If you play all 3 Princess Quest games, you get the free Vanny ending, where she turns good and joins you eating symbolic ice cream cones. But really, it's a pretty weird logical leap that playing a few random arcade games somehow gets this young woman free of the virus that's infected her brain. But now, it makes a bit more sense. At the end of Princess Quest 3, we confront a large security door that's covered in purple goo, only to get a blood-curdling scream. That goo tells us that it's Glitch Trap behind the door. It even has a glowing set of eyes on the left-hand side, which, if you squint, kinda looks like a rabbit head. This kind of goo wasn't present in the identical door within Help Wanted, implying that he is now in control. So when Cassidy unlocks the door and goes in, the digital scream that we hear from the other side is Glitch Trap dying, crying out as Cassidy delivers the killing blow, and maybe, hopefully, finally, putting both of their souls to rest. Security Breach to me has been the story about endings. Throughout all of my Security Breach theories thus far, we focused heavily on the idea of characters coming full circle, giving closure to them and ending their parts within the FNaF storyline. The crying child and the missing children got their closure back in FNaF 3's Happiest Day. Henry and the puppet got their closure in the FNaF 6 ending. If I'm right about my theories, then the rebuilt Afton kids get their closure on the hillside eating ice cream here in Security Breach. And now Cassidy. While all the other dead kids of the series have been able to move on, Cassidy has always remained, always trying to chase Afton down, torturing him in purgatory for what he's done, so driven by anger and revenge that she couldn't let go. So this feels like a great ending to this chapter of the series. Finally, Cassidy gets to join the others and rest, putting aside their agony and putting an end to the Golden Freddy arc, and hopefully to Afton's arc as well. But there's still one more that's incomplete. One more series of secrets in this game that we haven't talked about yet. Tune in next FNaF episode as we wrap up our coverage for Security Breach by talking about the most controversial and frustrating part of it, the retro CDs, the mysterious Patient 46, and what all of that has to do with the theories that we've covered so far. So bite of 87 that subscribe button to ensure that you don't miss it. And as always, remember, it's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. So remember, February 19th, Saturday, for our final Security Breach theory, and then make sure you stick around after the episode for a live theorist...
Final Security Breach theory. I'm looking at this playlist past MapHat. There's several security breach theories have to go through. Well, ignoring the GT life crap. Okay, you know what? I think we would save like the rest of the security breach arc for a later live stream. This is mostly because I don't want to cover a lot more videos. So next video will probably be. Can you stop playing the ad? Could be the final mystery. I'm not gonna do the stumped and the RNG because they're connected and they're not really important to the lore, in my opinion. Athens' Last Stand, Never Existed, Final Boss, and they're the same. Next, I'll just do 4 videos because I want to cover those in a separate video because I made like a perfect thumbnail for it. And then I'll cover the rest in our live stream.
Today, we end the horror. Today, we solve FNaF. Wait, didn't we say this exact same thing 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that reminds you that if you click the like button hard enough, it'll summon DJ Music Man to your neighborhood for a block party. Go ahead, try it. Hit that like button. Didn't work? Have you tried clicking subscribe? I hear that sometimes works too. I guess you must not be clicking hard enough. I don't know what to tell you. Speaking of not working hard enough, aren't you tired of just plain boring merch? The kind that you buy and sure, it looks cool, but it just sits there on your body not doing anything interesting. Well, what if
Oh, merch. Yay. I don't care about fucking merch.
check to see if you've got what it takes. Today we
Okay, you know what? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be a lifesaver. Load the comments. Load the comments. Load the fucking. And which pass me this is. To be honest. 2, 5. If you wanna skip the ad crap. Yes, he does.
finish milking. I mean, covering the major mysteries of Security Breach. And you know what? I think I solved it. Or at least I think I've solved most of it. 7 years ago, I made this video, The Clue That Solves Five Nights at Freddy's, where we put together all the pieces to support Dream Theory. The concept that the first 4 games of the series were all a collection of nightmares happening inside the mind of a child. In that episode, there were lots of points of evidence, but ultimately the conclusion hinged on one key design detail, the alarm that brought each night to a close at 6 o'clock a.m. A grandfather clock for 3 games and a digital clock for number 4. 3 games in the crying child's house where we see a grandfather clock, the 4th in a hospital right before he dies, which ironically enough is the one whose gameplay is happening in a recreation of the house. Oh, there's a reason this series is so difficult to talk about. Anyway, the reason I bring that video up is because today's theory works largely in the same way. Over the past few FNaF episodes, I've been trying to make heads or tails of Security Breach, pulling at what, to me, felt like the strongest thread. Gregory as the crying child, reborn in a robot body. Him reuniting with his brother Michael in the form of Glamrock Freddy and his sister Elizabeth in the form of Vanessa. And we've covered a lot of evidence trying to support that claim. The character's design, colors, the ice cream, the voice lines, robotic eyes, the satisfying narrative arc that it provides the game's 3-star ending. I mean, it's a lot. There are 2 episodes that are jam-packed full of discussion around exactly this. But today, I finally have my smoking gun. The clue that takes it from just a controversial theory to, at least in my mind, largely proven fact. Just like with the clocks and the dream theory, it's the one clue that is so specific, so intentional that it confirms that this was the main intent of the game. Until, of course, they decide to retcon it all due to bad audience feedback to keep the franchise going for another 7 years. Sorry, guys, I hate to say it, but I think I'm unfortunately right this time. Gregory is a robot, and he's the crying child reborn. And by the end of today, I think you're going to be convinced. And then from there, we're going to talk about how all of that factors into the game's narrative and its final mystery, Patient 46. 36. It all begins here, the post-it room.
What? This is unexpected.
After exploring the sewers to decommission Chica, Gregory winds up here, a room full of glowing staff bot heads and lots of post-it reminders on literally every surface. I mean, this thing is a flashing neon sign that says important lore here. And yet, in online discussions, it's been largely overlooked because it's kind of sandwiched in the middle of the game, overshadowed by the animatronic spaghetti monster ending. And even though I knew that something had to be hidden in here, trying to figure it out was like finding a needle in a haystack.
So what is this? What are we looking at here?
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah? Is it obvious, Matt? What is it?
You get to a certain age.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you gotta start taking notes.
Post-it notes?
Yeah, you just leave them around.
Okay.
But also there's robot heads.
So with that incredible insight, I spent literal hours off camera trying to look at every single post-it note to make sure that I had the full picture. And the answer I got was, do not do that. Learn from my mistakes. It took me so long, only to discover that the game files had been dug up and the post-it textures were just there in 3 simple images. Thanks to Just XFOT for uploading these to GitHub. Flush those hours of my life down the toilet. When you study these post-it textures, you actually realize that there are 3 phases to the post-it notes. One that's barely legible, another where the spelling and drawing improve slightly, and the final where they become nearly perfect. It looks like someone is trying to learn how to write and draw, slowly getting better over time. And it all begins here with a note written in binary. When you first enter the room, there's a cardboard box in the middle, which, if I were to guess, is Steel Wool trying to draw our attention to the most important post-it clues in what otherwise is a very crowded and busy looking room. On it, we get this binary string, which translates to, why is I? That's it. The grammar, I think, is intentionally bad because this is a computer coming into consciousness, asking the question, why am I alive? And doing it written in binary, the language of machines, computers, robots. Elsewhere in the room is more binary that translates to hide. Whatever this thing is, it's scared and it's confused. It hides until it can better understand what or who it's meant to be. The other illegible phase 1 notes here are random flashing thoughts. The sky, kids, love, random glimpses of memories coming in focus. The phrase, I can feel it, is this creature coming into consciousness. And this right here, you are something family, which looks like Afton family, but it's pretty unclear. In short, it appears to be a machine that started speaking in binary, but as more and more memories start to take hold, it begins to write in normal alphabetic characters. When you dive into the notes from phases 2 and 3, though, things start to get much clearer. It's mainly images and text revolving around birthday parties, happy place, birthday time, family.
Let's go with that.
If you're like me, you love to have a bunch of stuff going on in the background while you're gaming. But oopsie doopsie, mama made a poopsie that Google.
I don't care, Upper GX. I'll get you later.
Family, a pile of presents, some cake, let's get snack, fun, friends forever, pizza time. Nothing particularly earth-shattering for a series about pizza restaurants. But then there's one post-it in the phase 3 notes that really stands out. The one clue that truly brings together the last 2 months of research. This thing is the linchpin. It's our smoking gun, my friends, and it all boils down to a present alongside 3 simple words, all for me.
Oh no.
The party was all for me. Does that mean anything to you? Because it certainly does for me. You see, in the FNaF survival logbook, a seemingly innocuous workbook full of pizzeria-themed activities, you have 3 voices speaking through the pages. Michael Afton, writing his answers in red pen, the vengeful spirit Cassidy using lightly faded text, and the crying child, altering the physical text of the book. One conversation that happens between Cassidy and the crying child plays out like this. Cassidy says, the party was for you, and the crying child responds, it was for me. All for me. Suddenly, all the party imagery makes sense. The balloons, the cake, the kids. This is the bite victim, the crying child, coming into consciousness and remembering the birthday party that took his life. And using this context, suddenly everything
It's a neat concept, but I don't think that's the case.
In the first phase notes, we see a crudely drawn house with a set of arrows pointing towards what looks to be a strange set of doors. Maybe another building? Which admittedly doesn't make much sense unless this is the crying child, who, in FNaF 4, would walk down and to the right and then back up to go to Freddy's with his brother every single day. In the phase 3 notes, we see this close-up of a bear, which would have been the last thing that the crying child saw before his head got chomped. Blue, yellow, green, and red, those are the flashing lights above the Fredbear stage as he gets bit. Or, you know, maybe it's the balloons on the nearby table for someone who can't tell the difference between blue and purple. Even things like
I'm pretty sure it's a blue balloon. A blue balloon, I could be wrong.
Relate to the crying child's behavior throughout FNaF 4. He hides under tables, and he is constantly made fun of for it throughout the game. We also see a lot of dialogue about running away, just like on the post-its. Digging deeper, we also start to see other patterns emerging. The number 7 shows up repeatedly as both a set of tally marks as well as a set of 6 faces with a smaller 7th one off to the side. This ties us directly back to FNaF VR, where we had a glitching purple gravestone for Afton in the middle of 7 normal gravestones. 5 missing children, Charlie the puppet, and the smaller face watching on, the crying child. As he says in other notes, all my friends. There's also repeated use of the number 3. 3 faces, 3 kids, words repeated 3 times like home, 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 and fun, fun, fun. 3 slices of pizza, 3 presents, even just counting to the number 3. So what would that mean? Well, think about it. We've seen a lot of references to a house and family throughout these post-its. Seems to me
Yeah.
like it's a reference to the 3 Afton kids, Michael, Elizabeth, and the crying child himself. And the thing that brings all of it together isn't a post-it note, but instead the table higher up in the room where we see the staff bots arranged like a family at dinner. A mother and a father alongside their 3 kids. 1 red-headed pigtailed girl, 1 boy, and a kid with his head bit off. And just to hammer it all home, in the middle of the table, the collectible is a poster for Fredbear's Family Diner, the place of the bite, the place where all of this began. It looks like the robot finally figured out who he was, and he started to recreate his family. The robot is the crying child, which by proxy then has to be Gregory. And if you need further proof of humanoid robots in the game, Illy Becky on Reddit caught this detail from Sister Location. Humanoid heads, ones that look very similar to Gregory's face. Oh, and a last thing, much to everyone's excitement, there's actually a new book series coming out later this year. A new season of Fazbear Frights called Tales from the Pizzaplex, obviously referencing the location and security breach. The cover of the first book in the new series, Robot Kid, there it is. Which leads us then to the last puzzle of security breach, the
Knowing what
retro
happened in that
CDs.
book.
For those of you who don't know, there are 16 CDs around the map that you can only
Sorry,
find once
Matt.
you've upgraded Freddy's eyes. From there, you take the CDs to a hidden room designed to look exactly like Mike's room from Sister Location. These CDs seem to be recordings of the therapy sessions for 2 patients. Patient 71, who we mentioned last time is clearly Vanessa, and patient 46, who we never get to hear speak. And over the course of the various sessions, 46 and 71 are set up to be direct opposites of each other. Vanessa likes flowers, patient 46 does not.
Oh, you like those? The janitor on this floor has a garden and has been putting bouquets in the offices here for years. What's the problem? Oh, the flowers? I'll move them.
Vanessa likes blue skies and doesn't like dark basements. 46 prefers it dark.
I like the blue sky. I don't like dark basements. Oh, right. Too bright. When the shade's pulled, it feels like we're in a cubbyhole or a cave, yeah?
Vanessa doesn't like candy. 46 does.
Would you like a candy? No, thank you. Those have 35 calories apiece. Sure, you can have a candy.
Clearly, we're meant to see these characters as opposites, which is why so many people online consider that patient 46 might actually be Vanny, Vanessa's alter ego possessed by Glitch Trap, or even more extreme, Vanessa's evil twin sister, considering the fire ending shows us a dead Vanny on the ground and Vanessa looking down from the burning building's roof. But let's quickly talk about those 2 interpretations. First of all, Vanessa and Vanny are the same person.
Yes.
They have to be. All the evidence leading up to this game in places like FNaF Special Delivery have pointed to a woman named Vanessa A getting mind-hacked by Afton and reluctantly following his orders.
Yeah.
And in this game, we still have pieces of evidence. For instance, in the
They're
CDs,
the
we
same.
learned that Vanessa is buying fake fur to make the Vanny costume.
On your breaks, it looks like you were shopping for a costume. You purchased some fake fur material. What are you gonna make?
If she's not the one wearing it, why would she be making it? To me, the fire ending here is meant to be symbolic. We haven't beaten Princess Quest yet, so Vanessa's spirit is still trapped inside that burning building, but her body has died. She is one person. But could the persona of Vanny actually be patient 46? Again, the evidence just doesn't seem to add up to that. Throughout their sessions, we get multiple indications that the therapist is speaking to a child. The way they speak to patient 46 here...
You don't want me to get in trouble, do you? I could be put in the corner for a timeout. Yeah, you think that's funny, huh?
And again here...
Tragedy always leads to a feeling of loss. It's a hole that feels funny.
How can you trust the reviews you're reading? Introducing FakeSpot by Mozilla. Whether on your phone or computer,
Right?
The way they explain simple words...
And I'm surprised by your knowledge of computers. You're something of a phenom. Do you know what that word means? It means you have unusual skill, like a hacker.
The way they point out that 46 doesn't fit into the chair...
That chair doesn't...
Like the hacker from Cyber Chase. I'm sorry. Great, now I want to rewatch Cyber Chase. The show kicked ass when it was little.
really fit you, does it?
They even mentioned the fact that they specifically work with children.
You know, I work with people of all ages, from
No?
little kids to the very elderly.
I understand that therapists would want to treat alters as they see themselves, but this just doesn't seem to fit. At
Nah,
no point do we get an indication that Vanny
treat
sees
them
herself
as
as a child. But now let's go back to what we assume we know about 46. They're a kid, they like the dark, they like candy, they're really good with computers. In fact,
I mean, too, just applies to like every kid.
they're a bit robotic themselves, answering questions in cold, detached ways.
When I read your account of what happened, it came across as, well, more of an objective rather than a subjective narrative. Oh, sorry. You don't know what that means, do you?
Here again, we get another example of the therapist having to explain a relatively simple word. Now, look at our post-it room. It's a dark cave underground, outright labeled as "This is my home." On the central cardboard box is a drawing of candy, and a robot would be a...
What's funny that IT's Fantasy also made a video that this could be both Crying Child and Charlie. Which, okay, as much as I don't think this is the case, the idea of the fact that Crying Child is being like an older character, Charlie is an adorable idea, I suppose. You know, just watching over her. He's like, it's funny, but nah, I don't think that's the case.
emotionally detached and would also be great at hacking. Heck, the therapist does tell patient 46 to write down their feelings.
I suggested you write down exactly what made you so sad
No.
and scared.
And if this room isn't an example of that, I don't know what is. Taking it one step further, if I'm right in saying that Gregory is indeed the robot that came into consciousness here, that's why he doesn't fit into the chair. He's a kid. That's also the reason Steel Wool couldn't let us hear 46's voice throughout these therapist tapes. It would give away the game. It would immediately take away the mystery of who 46 is since we hear Gregory talk so much. But why would Gregory, a robot kid hiding out in the Pizzaplex, actively be seeking out therapy? He's not in a school of any kind and he's not employed, so it wouldn't be mandated. What is going on here? Well, over the course of the 16 CDs, we listen as both patient 46 and Vanessa visit a total of 5 therapists, all of whom are implied to have been mangled to death by machinery. But the deaths here aren't arbitrary. If you track the tapes, each therapist ends up getting killed off immediately after they start asking Vanessa about encrypted messages that she's been receiving from a mysterious figure.
The mixing therapist incident. No, wait. The dead therapist incident. Okay, for those who are not getting the joke, 5 therapists died. Like, how 5 kids died in... Huh. You know, this is something I never really caught on. The fact that we have 5 therapists died and... Huh. That's funky. Con. Funky. Funky Kong. He's the best Donkey Kong character. B. Added in Mario Kart. The other DK characters suck ass. I'm sorry if I'm offending Diddy Kong fans and I guess technically and Donkey Kong fans and people who wanted Dixie Kong but she didn't get in. A long time ago, I was doing the calculations on who I think would be joining Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think I put Dixie Kong lower than Funky Kong because Mario Kart Wii exists.
Your performance reviews are good, but a routine check of your online history has revealed that you've spent quite a bit of time with someone in an encrypted conversation. We have transcripts, and I read them.
Dead the next session.
The messages you're getting seem very manipulative in nature. You know who I'm talking about.
Why does the quality keep blowing? I like how there's still the option to do annotations, despite the fact they're dead at this point.
About. Why won't you open up about it? These files are full of details about your life.
Again, dead the next session. When the encrypted messages get brought up to 46, same thing.
When I saw some of your recent encrypted conversation logs, at first, I thought I was looking at more examples of you just talking with yourself. Then I realized it was different. When I study this, it sounds like there is someone else responding to you.
A third therapist bites the dust. The therapists cover all sorts of topics. Bad childhoods, work history. One therapist even confronts patient 46 with all the other dead therapists. Nothing. No response. It's only once the encrypted messages come up that they're suddenly marked for death. We also know that it's 46 doing the killing here. The dead therapists are a complete surprise to Vanessa.
Hi. Go ahead. Sit down.
Yeah.
I don't know you. What happened to... Oh, we'll get to know each other in no time.
But to 46, just business as usual.
Why did you lie? Why don't we come back to this another day? You're shaking your head as though that's not going to happen.
He's shaking his head because he knows that now she is also marked.
Wait, hold on. I hold on, let's see. I wonder if there's an actual GIF of that. I'm hoping there is. You know what? Gregory, you know what? Patient 46 on her way to patient 46 on her way to kill therapist. Let me play. Okay.
For death. To me, all of this screams of 46 keeping tabs on Vanessa. He's going to therapy not for himself, but rather to follow her actions, making sure that she's not saying anything that she shouldn't about these encrypted messages. And when the therapists do get too close to the truth, they're bumped off. We learn in one of the last CDs that patient 46 isn't being manipulated, but is instead the one doing the manipulation.
I don't think you're being manipulated here. I think You're the one doing the manipulating. No comment? Huh?
Putting 2 and 2 together would tell us that patient 46 is the one communicating with Vanessa. He's controlling her life for some reason. In fact, 46 appears to be the reason Vanessa is working at the Pizzaplex in the first place. One odd detail of the in-game messages is that Vanessa was not supposed to get the security job. In the message marked for deletion, we see that Vanessa's lack of security experience gets the interviewer to not recommend her for the job, and yet she's hired anyway, despite, as it says in another message, no prior qualifications. In both messages, we're told that it's an internal reference coming from the top that got her the job. Someone has brought Vanessa here for a specific purpose, and who better than a hacker that's clearly established to be in the Pizzaplex's emails? Patient 46, Gregory. In short, it looks like Gregory is manipulating the situation, determined to get Vanessa to work at the Pizzaplex, following her to all her mandated therapy sessions, and ultimately killing off anyone that gets too close to the truth. I mean, after all, Gregory is not opposed to using a bit of violence to get what he wants.
We have to get these. We can upgrade you.
Mobile games are going big. Clash of Clans is now available on PC with Google Play Games. Experience more ways to play and sync your in-game progress between your PC and mobile devices.
Wait, are you from Discord? Dead.
He's also not opposed to lying about it.
This upgrade.
That just jump scared me.
Please, be honest. How did you get it?
When I was in the kitchen earlier, she fell into some sort of garbage smasher.
Is she okay?
Well, she's still functional.
But
I like how this implies Freddy cares more for Glamour Chica more than Monty and the other one.
Why? Why is he going to all of this effort? Well, combine it with what we saw in the post-it room. There's a family reunion scene. Multiple post-its referring to family. The 3 siblings, their...
I do somewhat like anime. It's been a while since I last seen an anime. I might do that later. I might watch some later.
House. Remember what I said earlier? A robot has come into consciousness and is trying to reclaim what he lost, his family. He wants the family back together. And so he's doing everything in his power to make that happen. Using his hacking skills, he's managed to break into staff files, so he knows that there's something off about Vanessa. Maybe he even knows that his dad's consciousness is inside of her. He's also got his brother and Freddy and his dad in the basement. The family in this game is truly coming together again, reclaiming what Crying Child once lost. And that's it. That's the whole thing.
And so I'm lowering the quality a bit because it keeps like
That's the whole theory done. There are definitely no holes or flaws to anything I just said. Don't look any deeper than everything I just told you. Alright, fine. There might be a few itty-bitty holes to all of this explanation. Namely, some of the info that we get from the last 2 CDs. If Patient 46 is Gregory, then why is he glitching the system to make all the animatronics scarier? If he lured Vanessa to the Pizzaplex, then why would he then be avoiding her throughout the game? Why would he be surprised to see Afton in the basement if he's trying to bring the family all together? There's also the mystery of the whole parent story. 46 is said to have good parents.
None of what you said in your file about your parents was true. The truth is, you had great parents. A great childhood. Why did you lie?
But how would records of good parenting exist for a robot who presumably had no parents? Or the Crying Child, whose records
So sadly, and as much as I mock their existence, the books kind of do have an explanation for it. Even if I think they're using the books at all just to say what's actually happening. Well, the books serve as clues, but just to say that they're officially canon, it's something I will always mock until I die.
presumably would say that he was dead. Or even if you don't believe those theories, if 46 is Gregory and Gregory's just a homeless kid, that doesn't sound like he would have had a great childhood or any sort of home life. But the kicker, the one to me that makes this really difficult to explain, is this email that I had long forgotten about from FNaF AR. Strap in for this one, friends. Hey Ness, I hope things are good. I saw you ordered 3 lifelike human male rubber masks, and I was dying to ask what they're for. Sounds to me like a robot kid is confirmed, but it also sounds to me like Vanessa built it, or gave rise to this robot kid. If so, then I ask again, why would Gregory be avoiding her throughout the game? I mean, the best I could come up with is that somehow Gregory escaped and is now convinced that Vanessa is trying to shut him down because of his rogue programming. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but then why would he be luring her to the Pizzaplex? It's like one half of each explanation works, but then when you try to connect it back with like the other half of the theory, they end up contradicting each other, which is really frustrating. There are 2 other options. First, the robot kid from the post-it room is entirely brand new, or the second option is it's someone that we never see in the game, Baby. Now, the first option of a brand new character, yeah, it's cool, I guess. I can't really speculate about that. It could literally go anywhere and solve everything. As for option 2, Baby, just like with Gregory, there are certain things that fit and other things that just don't. Baby, like Gregory, could want to put the family back together.
I mean, I can kind of see it. Oh no. I am sorry, but I always like the trope that William is actually purple and just people just accept he's purple. Not even a rotting corpse. He's just the color purple, and everyone's just not racist against him or something. And there's apparently another purple woman in here. Here, that's his wife, and she gave birth to. You who aren't purple. I'm sorry, I just. I also like how the can't like fully agree with Miss Afton's design, but they often flip flop and use this. I am sorry.
Baby has always wanted to make Daddy proud, so she'd be quite happy
Makes
to kill
sense.
off therapists that got too close to the truth, just like we see with 46. And she would willingly spread the Afton virus to make the animatronics scary in order to bring
That
Daddy back. If she's using illusion discs, or if she acts like she does in the books, then it's possible that she'd be able to take the form of a child and make up a backstory. She's also a character that canonically loves disguises, just like Patient 46.
Makes sense again. I can see it, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that. You like the idea of being disguised? Disguises let you be sort of invisible, don't they?
There's also a line about the therapist being able to see Patient 46's eyes.
That's better. On this side of the desk, I can see your eyes.
And we know that Baby's eye color has always been an important detail in the past. But as with Gregory, there are still a number of holes with this line of thinking. Baby/Elizabeth likes flowers. Patient 46 doesn't. We also know Baby hates being in the basement of Sister Location. So then why, as Patient 46, would she prefer to live in a cave rather than blue sky? In short, as I read...
People claim my butt's perfect.
Can you guys just recommend me some ad blockers? Please? Thank you.
I wrap up my overall coverage of Security Breach, I
Free
guess
ones
I
at
summarize it
least.
like this. This game is frustrating from a lore standpoint. Smaller questions like Glamrock Bonnie and Golden Freddy, yeah, those are pretty easy to answer. But when it comes to what this game was actually about, no one theory actually solves it all in a clean way. There are references to every corner of the FNaF universe in here, but as a result, nothing fits cleanly together to solve everything. There are pieces that always dangle or always contradict something else. Do I think the crying child is here based on the post-it room? Yes, absolutely. Is he Gregory?
Definitely.
I mean, right now, I think that he's our best option. Is he also Patient 46? It seems like he's trying to be, but there are just a lot of holes there. And there are holes in the Baby theory too. And that honestly just leaves the option of a mysterious third party pulling the strings behind the scenes, which on one hand would be welcome. I'd love to see a new character inserted into this lore. But on the other hand, it also feels unsatisfying because it's like, well, that came out of nowhere. This franchise has never operated like that, so it feels weird for it to start acting that way now. Individually, small pieces of the mystery make sense, but when you take a step back and look at the wider lore of this series, how it connects to other games, how it connects to the wider story arc that's been created, that's when things start to fall apart. And I think that is what is so frustrating with this title. So that's what I'm left with. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you seeing things that I'm not? Hopefully it at least sparked some ideas in your head. And hey, if it did, you can let me know live right now. I am officially live with other members of Team Theorist, other FNaF tubers, all of us covering things about this game. My hot takes on the Security Breach lore, other theories that we haven't covered yet, and of course, just generally chatting about what we thought of the game, where we think the franchise is going, and what we predict will be the upcoming DLC. Nothing is off the table, friends. So if you have FNaF theories yourself, throw them out there and we can discuss them live.
Well, I missed the stream a long 1 year ago. Apparently, this was a 1-year video. Okay, so I think I'm going to end the stream right here. Most because I don't have anything else. I don't want to.